Before we got into creating calculations inside of Excel, I mentioned as long as you know what you want to do, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, as long as you understand the basics of the math, Excel does the rest for you. But there's something else that we need to be aware of, and this is going to take us back to our early days of math. We're going to talk a little bit about the order of operation, or essentially the order that your different arithmetic operators go through. What happens first? What if you've got a more complex calculation? It's got some addition and multiplication in there. What takes place first? This is the order of operation. Now I'm going to give you a little acronym, one that you may recall from your elementary days of school. Maybe not. Took me a little while to kind of dig that back up from my past. I'm going to introduce you to it here and hopefully spark a little bit of thought that you had before. So open in front of you, I've got a completed exercise file. It's called Order of Operation -01. It's an Excel document and it's a part of this lecture. You can download it right here. Now, it's a simple one, not much going on in here. I got an imaginary bill. It's got 3 items in it. $100 for the first one, $150 for the next, and $55 for the third item. We have a subtotal. I want to be able to get a sum of all those values. And then we got a total where I want to get the sum of the items plus the tax. Okay. So how do we go about completing this? Well, what if I hop into cell C6 and I'm just going to do some basic arithmetic. I'm going to do some addition here. So I'm going to say equals. We got that, right? I'm going to say this cell plus this cell plus this cell. So just C3 plus C4 plus C5. Hit my enter key, and we got our $305 worth of those 3 items. Now I want to get the grand total, which includes the 8% tax. Well, all right, well, it's another formula, so I'm instead of cell C8, I'm going to say this cell times this cell. So C6 times C7. What do you think? I'm going to hit my enter key here. Oh, wait a minute. $24.40. That's not the grand total. Well, I just got what's 8% of $305. Got that there? So $305, 8% of that is $24.40. Well, I want to get the grand total, so I want to say 305 plus the $24.40, right? So let's delete that one out. Now we can go about completing this one a couple different ways. I'm going to show you just one way here. You may have other ways that you want to accomplish this through. Whatever method, the important part is the order that the operators go through. What happens first, then what happens next? Take a look. So I'm going to jump back in here. I'm going to say equals, calculation. I want to take this one. I want to multiply it by the 8%, but not just the 8%. I want to multiply it by 108%. So I'm going to say plus 1.0. So essentially we're going to take the 8% and add 1 or add 100% to it. So we'll end up with 108%. So I'm going to hit my enter key here. Ooh, what happened there? 2540. That doesn't sound right, right? We wanted that 305 plus the 2440 that we saw earlier, right? So what's happening here? I'm going to go to this formula. I'm going to go to my formulas tab, top of your screen. We're going to talk much more in depth about the formulas tab as we continue later into this course. But on the formulas tab, you have a section called formula auditing. And there's so many goodies in here. We're going to talk about a lot of these in the 102 and the 103 section of this course. But I'm going to introduce you to one of them here called evaluate formula. So I have cell C8, a formula cell currently selected. I'm going to go to evaluate formula, and this is going to allow us to evaluate this formula right here, which is C6 times C7 plus 1. It's going to allow us to evaluate a piece at a time and figure out what's going on. So I'm going to go to evaluate formula. This opens up my evaluate formula window. So in here, I have an evaluate button. And currently, you can see my formula here. C6 times C7 plus 1. All right. So it's going to evaluate C6. That's underlined, denoting that that's going to get evaluated first. So I'm going to hit evaluate. C6 evaluated to 305. Now it's going to evaluate C7. All right, C7 evaluated at 0.08. So now it's going to evaluate 305 times 8. That doesn't sound right. We want to evaluate this portion right here first before it does the multiplication. All right, so if I keep going here, I evaluate, it finds the 2440, which was that leftover, which was the 8% of the 305, right? And then it's going to evaluate the +1, which gives us the 2540. That's not right. So get back here, I'm going to say evaluate, evaluate. I don't want to evaluate that next. I need to evaluate the 0.08 plus 1. Give me the 1.08 or the 108%. And then multiply that by the 305. So here's where the order of operation comes into play. So I'm going to write something here on my screen. So please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. So here's an acronym for you. Now here, this is what I was taught going through grammar school, right? And it stuck with me somewhat. It's an acronym, and it stands for the order of operation. It's parentheses, exponent, multiplication, division, add, subtract. So this is the order that your mathematical operators will go through. The precedence that they take. Parentheses happens first, then your exponents, then your multiplication, division, and then your add and subtract. Now, in some regions, and this was brought to my attention, I was teaching Excel one day, and somebody in my class was, I can't remember where they were from, weren't originally native North Americans. They came from wherever, whatever other country, and they introduced me to another acronym, same thing, but they just called them something a little different. And I know multiple countries use this. But this was, and I gotta look. Let's see, it was BODMAS. So we got brackets. It was operators. Operators. Am I saying that right? I gotta go back through my notes here. And then, orders, excuse me, orders, brackets, orders, then your division, multiplication, and your add and subtraction. So brackets was the same as being parentheses. Orders was the same as exponents. Then you had your multiplication, division, and then your add and subtraction. That's it right there. Same thing in the end, but it's just the order that the operators go through. So let's take that, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, parentheses, exponent, multiplication, division, add, subtract, and let's take it back to our formula. So if I look at my formula here, I'll just give this a double click. So currently, this right here, that's multiplication. That, in the order of operation, happens before addition. Well, I don't want that to happen. I want this to get evaluated first. C7 plus 1, take that 8, add the 1, give me the 108%. Get that to happen first, and then multiply it by C6. So how do we change that? How do we get the addition to happen first? P, parentheses, please, right? So here, I'm going to wrap this inside of parentheses, get that to happen first. Whatever's inside the parentheses, that happens first, and then the multiplication happens. So now I can hit my enter key, and there's my $329.40. So it was the 305 plus the 2440 that the 8% gave us. So let's evaluate this formula again. With that cell selected, back to formulas, formula auditing or evaluate formula. So now it's going to evaluate the C6. I'll evaluate that. Great, got the 305. But now it's going to skip over the multiplication and get to the parentheses and evaluate that. C7 was 0.08 plus the 1, gave us the 1.08 or 108%. And now it's going to evaluate the multiplication and give us the 329.40. That's your order of operation. Very important. Again, as long as we understand what we want to have happen, Excel does the math for us. But we need to be aware of the order the operators go through. Just remember that. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Parentheses, exponent, multiplication, division, add, subtract. Try it out. Jumping in there, you could download this file. It's called order of operation -01, and you could try it on your own. Right? Get a feel for it. Understand why Excel needs it done that way. And that's just math in general. It's not just Excel. Right? Excel uses math, but the order of operation is universally within math. Try it out.